Good afternoon. I am Vishal Prabhakar. I am an associate professor at Karnavati University. Today we are hosting a podcast with Mr. Tribhuvan Babu. He's a distinguished cinematographer, and we welcome you, sir, to the podcast.
Thank you, Karnavati University, and thank you for having me.
So, I think for the sake of students and for the general audience here at Karnavati University, I'd like to ask you a few questions. So, let's starting with your personal journey. So, how has your cinema and visual design philosophy evolved over the years?
Ooh, that's a actually very scary question, because I'll tell you why. Because cinema itself is evolving, right? So, me being just a small part of that entire universe is bound to get affected by it. The way we started on celluloid and what we are doing now using cutting edge technology in digital domain. So not just cinema, we are also evolving every day with it, I would say. So I can never say that I know this for sure, because what I know today is not going to hold true tomorrow. So I think that's where we are at now, currently. Very interesting times.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. So, how do you approach a balance when you're with your creativity and the constraints put on you? Let's just say through budgets, timelines, or perhaps a director enforcing his view on you, or is there a time when you tell the director, okay, trust me, this is how this composition is going to work? How do you deal with such situations?
See, the thing is, while cinema is a collaboration with every department that's involved, director is the king at the end of the day, and you have to listen to the director. Only thing is, what you do is, when sometimes there is a creative difference, I would say, where the way you see a scene and the way the director is seeing the scene is very different. Ultimate call is the director's, but then that doesn't stop you from encouraging the director to see the same scene in a different perspective, and then leave the choice to the director whether that vision aligns with his or her approach towards that particular scene. So that war will always go on. So, and that is where the best collaboration comes out. That is where, with all these arguments and these disagreements, I would say that creation happens. Because creation will never happen if both are on the same plane, Only when there is destruction, creation can happen. So I would say that argument is good, but argue for the right things. And when it comes to constraints, see, we are in a developing nation, right? So constraints are always going to be there. Like, nobody's going to come to you and say, listen, I've got a lot of money, just do whatever you guys want to do. It never works like that. So without constraints, I don't think you can create anything, because limitations is what brings out the best in you. While you want unlimited resources, kahin na kahin, I think we also realize the limitations of that unlimited budget.
Yeah, very well said.
Because it's still utopian. Like, what will you do with unlimited budget? Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, you've seen the biggest budgeted cinemas go kaput, and cinemas which didn't even have money to give to the actors have done so well. So, so there is no formula as to whether you can make good cinema only with this kind of money or not. Everybody's trying to do their best, be it with unlimited resources or be it with limited resources. But yeah, absolutely. And that's the beauty of cinema, and which is why I love it. The sheer unpredictability of it.
So this brings me to my follow-up question, which has just popped in my mind. Is there something called as a cinematographer's creative block? Or do you find yourself seeking inspiration at times as a cinematographer?
Actually, yes, because I'll tell you why. There is only so much you can do at a given time, because like coming back to your previous questions, there are always restrictions uh, imposed on you, be it time, be it money, be it space. So uh, if you want to, if the director wishes to shoot in a very small cabin with just one window, and that is the only source of light, you can't say, okay, please break that wall and make a new window. Like, you can't do that. So you have to make do with what you have. So, and that itself gives an opportunity for you to evolve. It challenges you as to what you know is not the final thing, and that you have to modify your vision, and in that process learn. So yes, we cinematographers always do face what do you call as a creative block, because then what do you do, right? Because you have gotten used to doing things in a certain way, but then that doesn't mean that's the only way. So I think the genius realizes the genius is in realizing the many ways of doing the same thing. And for that, yes, you have to keep yourself inspired. So we will talk to our peers, we will listen to music, we will see what our peers are doing, be it in our country, be it elsewhere in the world, because the kind of there is a revolution in imagery, I would say, which is underway in the world. So it's really very difficult to keep up with it, but at the same time, thanks to the technology, there is access to it as well. Right. So you are bound to be inspired by not just the masters, but the new masters in making.
So the wonder today of the times, as you said, these are really exciting times, is that earlier the biggest blocks were acquisition and distribution. Acquisition today, as you said, can be made using mobile phones of cinema at this shooting and everything, and distribution is free. So how cinema has adapted to this kind of or rather how cinematographers and directors have taken to this massive change that has happened over the last 10 years?
See, now I'll tell you, a new format has been born. It's called the vertical format. Yeah, because the phone, everybody's watching the phone vertically. Very rarely do we flip the phone, because unless you're instructed saying, please flip the phone. So most content that is being absorbed nowadays is vertical. So now this is a new challenge that we as cinematographers are facing, because biologically we see things like this. We don't see vertical. We see horizontal. Yeah. Now we have to adapt content into verticality, for example. Now this is a new thing. So we have to rethink our lensing. Like a 35mm, which used to cover, say, an X amount of image, doesn't cover this in a vertical format. So then what do you do? So you have to change your perception about what a 35mm is for a vertical content. So it's not the same, and it evokes different feelings. Isn't that? It is, and hence it is more challenging. Because now the pressure is not just on the cinematographer, it is also on the production designer. Because earlier we used to make a set horizontal, not care too much about the height. Now we have to care much more about the height than about the horizontal, because you're seeing much more vertically. So it's a shift in the way you are seeing things.
Understood. Very well explained. Thank you. So, what do you think the role of cinematographers and designers are going to be in the next decade? And the follow-up question after that is the advice you'll give to budding cinematographers.
See, cinematographer as such, I would say, is irreplaceable in terms of what the cinematographer brings to the table, which is the eyes or the vision, I would say. Um, Cinematographers are, I would say, a bit privileged and bit more blessed because they get to travel more, experience things more. So their way of looking at world is very unique. There is a very unique perspective. There is a very impersonal perspective to how they see things. And when I say impersonal, I don't mean necessarily devoid of emotion, but we have a third party vision, I would say. So we tend to see things for what they are and what they can be, which is a very unique perspective to bring into cinema. So when the director says that he or she is looking at a particular scene in this way, directors are often very personal because they have also written, more often than not, they have written the script that they are executing. So they are bound by what they believe and what they have written. So the cinematographer's job becomes even more expansive, I would say, because then we can take them through different perspectives of seeing the same thing in a different light. So that way, I think cinematographers are irreplaceable. But having said that, the way technology is evolving, now all these perspectives can be fed into the technology of utilizing AI-based software, for example. So now the onus is on the maker as to how well you can write the prompts. So then you can be impersonal about what you have written and put in those commands on your AI-based platforms, and that can generate a cinematographer's perspective, and maybe better for all you know.
I'm quite glad that you mentioned AI. So is in your domain of cinematography, or cinema at large, is AI a disruptor? Or if it is a disruptor, in your opinion, is it for the good that that disruption has happened? Or how do you welcome or unwelcome this change?
See, it's too early to say whether it's for the good or for the worse or for the bad, because change is constant, like entropy. I mean, that's physics. The only thing constant is a change. So things will evolve. Like, I grew up on celluloid and now I'm shooting digital. So when I talk to the current peers about how celluloid was very organic, very real, the current generation doesn't follow that or doesn't even understand that because they don't have it in their experience. They don't know what celluloid is. They grew up on digital, so for them, digital is God.
Yeah.
When the current generation becomes old, they will talk about digital the way we talk about celluloid.
I agree. There was a time when we used to put grain based on the negative 4242, 5242, all those things.
Exactly. So then their future generation will talk about AI the way we talk about digital nowadays. So that will never change. The change is constant. So it's a good change. Now how it will manifest is, I mean, your guess is as good as mine. But yes, it is a disruption. I would say probably right now, if there are 1,000 players as cinematographers, with the advent of AI, there will be probably 250. And these 250 will be the people who have embraced AI. Because AI is not here to replace you. AI is here to support you and support your vision.
Oh, brilliant.
So if you adapt, AI will adapt with you.
So change is welcome. On this note, it's been a pleasure speaking with you, and we are very, very honored to have you on ADW 6.0. And thank you again on behalf of everyone at Karnavati University for your time. And we hope we welcome you again.
Absolutely. It was pleasure interacting with the students. In fact, I'm going back with more vigor. Now I know what I need to work on for my next project.
Brilliant.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks.